A and the and nothing are also known as the articles. Every time you say a noun, which is a name for a person, place, thing, or idea, you have to choose one among a and the, nothing, or other determiners and put it in front of the noun. In this video, I'm going to tell you how to choose among a and the and nothing. The simpler version of the decision process goes something like this. If you're talking about something specific, which both the speaker and listener know, put the in front of the noun regardless of whether you can count it or how many of it there are. For example, the apple or the apples. However, if you're not talking about something specific, there are three options to choose from. First, if the thing is difficult to count, like apple juice, you leave the noun alone. No a and the in front, no s or es in the back. Secondly, if you're talking about only one thing by the noun, like just one apple, you put a or an in front of the noun, as in an apple. Lastly, if you're talking about more than one thing by the noun, like these apples, you put s or es in the back, as in apples. You also have other options, such as using other determiners like some, many, or a lot of. However, this goes beyond the topic of this video, so we won't talk about it in detail. On the other hand, if you want a more detailed description of the article decision process, here's a graph. It's easier than what it seems. Let me explain it step by step through the rest of the video. In order to choose one among a and the and nothing, we must first question the word's definiteness. We must find out whether the word is definite or indefinite. If the speaker is not just talking about anything called by the noun, but a specific thing that both the speaker and listener know what they're talking about, then the noun is definite. The question is, how do speakers and listeners come to know what exactly they're talking about? Usually, there are 5 possibilities. The first possibility is that both the speaker and listener belong to the same community, and within that community, there's only one thing that fits the noun's definition. For instance, let's say that both of them are from the United States. The country has only one president, and almost everyone in the country knows who the president is. In this case, the speaker can say the president without previously explaining who the president is. Likewise, if both of them belong to the same company, then they can say the CEO or the shareholders without any explanation. If they belong to the same family, then the baby or the old man is acceptable. This sense of shared community can stretch as far as to our solar system. To anyone who lives in our solar system, where there's only one sun, you may say the sun without any explanation. The second possibility is that the environment surrounding the speaker and listener makes it obvious which thing they are talking about. Let's say that you and your friend are walking in the woods, and there's a wolf right in front of you guys. If you say watch out for the wolf, it's pretty clear which wolf you're talking about. In this case, you can use the word the without previously explaining which wolf you're talking about. The third possibility is that the shared experience of the speaker and listener makes the thing obvious. If you and your friend are passing by a restaurant where both of you had an excellent noodle together last week, you may say, "The noodle was nice, wasn't it?" without explaining which noodle you're talking about. The fourth possibility is that the speaker has explained the thing before or during using the word the. What do I mean by explaining before using the word the? Consider the sentence, "I bought an apple yesterday and the apple was delicious." Since the speaker explained what apple he's talking about in the first part of the sentence, in the second part, the speaker says the apple. Then what do I mean by explaining the thing while using the word the? Consider the sentence, "I want to know the income of this company." The speaker didn't mention the income beforehand, but he made the income definite by narrowing down the range of income to the income of this company. English speakers consider this information definite enough to use the word the. For this reason, you can use the word the if you use these pronouns to narrow down a word's range. For instance, the man who called me smart was the school principal. You can also use these adverbs to narrow down the range, as in, I know the place where his treasures are hidden. Similarly, prepositions are also acceptable, as in the chips inside mobile phones are expensive. If you want to know more about narrowing down the range of a word this way, please refer to the lecture on relative clauses. Moving on, the last possibility is when the speakers are using expressions for which the is mandatory. By definition, these expressions refer to something one and only in the universe. For instance, take the expression the tallest person. there's gonna be only one person with the tallest height within a given group. Hence, we put the in front of the word tallest. For the same reason, we say the same house, the only one, and Alexander the Great. Let's come back to the graph. Considering what we just talked about, if your answer to the first question is, my noun is definite, then the whole article decision process ends here. Put the in front of the word, as in the apple, and add s or es in the back if it's plural, as in the apples. If the noun is an irregular noun, put the in front of the noun's irregular plural form, as in the sheep, and that's it. However, if your answer is, my noun is indefinite, then we move on to the second question, the question on the noun's countability. The second question is on the countability of the noun. We must figure out whether the noun is countable or uncountable. If you're talking about something uncountable, then you can just leave the word alone, as in apple juice. No a and the in front, no s or es in the back. So let's see which nouns are countable and which are not in English. The basic rule is, something is countable if its shapes are distinguishable from other things. Since you can distinguish the shape of one burger from another, burgers are countable. Since you cannot distinguish the shape of one happiness from another, happiness is uncountable. However, there are some cases that need special attention. First, abstract ideas are uncountable, but a specific example that demonstrates the idea may be countable. For instance, words like democracy, beauty, and crime refer to abstract ideas. You cannot distinguish their outlines, so they are uncountable. Yet, sometimes you see these words used in countable forms, such as democracies, a beauty, or a crime. In this case, they are referring to a real-life example demonstrating the idea. Democracies mean countries running democracy. A beauty is someone beautiful, and a crime is a single action that is illegal. Moving on. English speakers consider liquid uncountable, but its containers countable. Since liquid is uncountable, you may say milk is good for your health. However, if you want to count it exactly, you must count it by its containers, as in 2 cups of milk a day are good for your health. Next, money is only countable in currencies. This makes sense because there are many different kinds of money and their values are all different. Hence, if you want to refer to the general idea of money, you may say time is money. However, if you want to count money exactly, you must count it by its currencies, as in I have $2. Next, jewelry and furniture are uncountable in English. I'm assuming that this is because in the old days, jewelry was often melted to change its form and furniture was often cut and joined to perform many different functions. Therefore, you have to count them by their unit, as in a piece of jewelry or furniture. Next, rice and sand are uncountable in English because English speakers consider something uncountable if no one will actually sit there and count it. So, if you want to count rice and sand, you must count them by their containers, as in 2 bags of sand or rice. If you're frustrated about countable and uncountable nouns, dictionaries are always there to help you. Usually, countable nouns are labeled as C and uncountable nouns as U on paper dictionaries. So, coming back to the graph, if your answer to the second question is, my noun is uncountable, then you leave the word alone and the process ends here, as in apple juice. However, if your answer is, my noun is countable, then we move on to the last question, whether the noun is singular. The last question is on the plurality of the noun. We must figure out whether the word is singular or plural. If the word is referring to just one thing, the word is singular. In this case, put a or an in front of the word depending on the word's first sound. If the word starts with vowel sounds, which are e, a, e, I, o, you put the word n in front. If the word starts with consonant sounds, which are everything other than the vowels, then put a in front. Please note that it is the actual sound that matters, not the spelling. For example, for the word hour, we put n in front instead of a, because though the first letter is h, its actual sound is a. Now, let's talk about the plural. If the noun is plural, put either s or es after the word. If the word ends with s, z, sh, x, or ch, add es at the end of the word, as in church to churches. If the word ends with a consonant plus y, change y into I and add es in the back, as in sky to skies. If the word ends with voiceless f or fe, change the f or fe into v and add es in the back, as in knife to knives. If the word ends with a consonant plus o, add es in the back, as in potato to potatoes. For other words, you can just put s in the back for plural forms. Of course, there are exceptional cases called irregular nouns. For these words, instead of putting s or es in the back, you put the word's unique plural form, which you have to memorize one by one. The list of some irregular nouns are attached in the links below. Okay, let's finish off the graph. If your answer to the third question is, my noun is singular, then you put a or n in front of the word, as in an apple. And if your answer is, my noun is plural, then you put s or es in the back, as in apples. If the word is an irregular noun, then you put the noun's unique plural form, as in sheep. Now, that was the basics of the English article a and the and nothing. However, there are some difficult parts uncovered in this video. For instance, sometimes it is right to use the word the with capitalized nouns, as in the Crystal Palace, and sometimes it is wrong, as in Buckingham Palace. How do we know when to put the word the? The second problem has to do with other determiners. In the beginning of this video, I said that instead of using a and the and nothing, you can use other determiners such as some, many, or little. How do you use these words exactly? If you're interested in these questions, please check out this video. If you have any questions, ask me in the comment section and hit subscribe for more English lessons. It was nice having you. Please check out the links below for more lectures, and goodbye.